Good evening, everyone. This is Priyanshu Kaushik, and you're listening to Noobs Law School. In this video, I'm going to talk for current affairs for CLAT 2023. This is part one. If you are already have been watching the original current affairs revision series for CLAT 2022, you might be aware that today is 19th June. So on this date, the CLAT 2022 has been conducted now. So that series is now only to be used for the students of CLAT 2023. In this video, I'm going to discuss 10 questions, and there is also something which has been brought to you by Unacademy, which is very special, and I will discuss that too in this video. So now let's talk about the scheme of this video. There are going to be 10 questions, as I've already told you. 5 questions are assigned per topic, which basically means that I'm going to discuss 2 topics in this video. After the round of questions, I will explain those topics in depth. So here comes your very first question. Which state of India witnessed the infamous Pal Dadhav killings? So which of the following states have witnessed the Pal Dadhav killings which happened in the pre-British, not pre-British, but the British era? So when the British government has took control of India. So your option A is Gujarat, option B state of Rajasthan, option C Tamil Nadu, and option D is Karnataka. So what is the right answer? The right answer is option A, that is the state of Gujarat. So in the state of Gujarat, which was at that time was called the state of Idar, IDAR. So in that region, the Pal Dadhav killings occurred. Your next question is, what is the name of the leader of Eki movement? Sorry, it is who is the leader? Who was the leader of Eki movement? Your option A is Motilal Tejawat, option B is Mohan Ram Tejawat, option C is Manik Rao, and option D is Praresh Bhilara. So what is this Eki movement? I am going to discuss this in the topic section. So your right answer is option A, which is Motilal Tejawat. So Motilal Tejawat was the leader of Eki movement. Now before moving forward, this is the Unacademy special which I was supposed to discuss. So Unacademy has came up with a very offline batch, a offline center for all the aspirants in Kota. So if you are someone who is living in Kota or somewhere nearby, then you should definitely, I would recommend you to go to that place and have a real life experience. So this is the address, that is 285B Talwandi Circle and road number 2 Indraprastha Industrial Area. So these two centers are there, which are completely offline, and the whole setup is completely offline. So you will get to experience a very different version of Unacademy. Admissions are already open now, and special fees benefits are going to be given to the people who are going to take admission in the offline of Kota centers of Unacademy. The very best thing about it is that the top educators, not of only Unacademy, but the Kota's top educators are being recruited in this Unacademy teaching staff for this offline center. So brace yourself, and if you are someone who is near to Kota or somewhere in Kota already, then you should definitely go and get a visit of Kota Unacademy Center. Thank you. Now let's come back to the questioning round. The Pal Dadhav massacre took place on which date? So as I already told you, the Pal Dadhav movement massacre or killings, which is not generally being recognized by the government as a massacre but as a killings. So on which date they did occur? Your option A is 7th March 1992. Your option B is 14th August 1947 during the time of partition. Your option B is 9th September 1911. And your option D is 23rd March 1922. So what is the right answer? The right answer is option A, which is 7th March 1992. So on this date, a lot of people, in that Eki movement has gathered, and the British government opened fire, the British army or whatever, opened fire upon those people who were under the leadership of Motilal Tejawat. Your last question probably your second last question. The Eki movement was against the British Raj for what? So the Eki movement, which I already talked to you about, was against the British Raj. So what was the main objective of this Eki movement? To be against the British government for? Your option A is Lagan, that is heavy tax on peasants. You would have watched the movie Lagan, right? Your option B is salt tax, which was of course broken by our dear Gandhiji. Your option D is demand for political representation of tribals. So you would have heard about SCST representation in, the parliament, in the legislative assembly of the British times. So what is was the reason for demand for political representation of tribals in the legislative assembly, etc. Or your option D, which is against the foreign rule of Britishers. So it was inspired by the feeling of nationalism and they wanted to overthrow the British government altogether. What was the reason? Your correct answer is of course option A, which is Lagan, that is heavy tax on peasants. This is also I'm going to discuss in the main topic word. So your last question is, what is the name of the song sung by tribals for Motilal Tejawat? So the tribals of Gujarat, especially of the nearby areas where this incident happened, they revere Motilal Tejawat very much, and because of that, they also sing a song in their weddings or in their usual functions in his name. So what is the name of that song? Option A, Hansu Dukhi Duniya Dukhi. Option B, Nattu Dukhi Duniya Khushi. Option C, Moti Lala Marya Azadi Dilayo. It is Maryo. So Gujarati, something like that. So your option D is Tejawat Ji Mhare Rakhwale. What is the right answer? The right answer is of course again option A, which is Hansu Dukhi Duniya Dukhi, which basically means Hansu would be a name for Motilal Tejawat ji, and it meant that if he is sad, then the world is sad. By world they mean the tribals, their world is sad. So now let's discuss this topic in depth. So Pal Dadav massacre, which has been recently the Gujarat government marked 100 years of Pal Dadav killings. So what is the year at present? It is 2022. So currently it is 2022 and this incident happened in 1922 7th March. So do not forget this, 7th March 1922. So the Gujarat government marked 100 years of Pal Dadav killings, calling it a massacre bigger than the Jallianwala Bagh. So do you know about Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which happened in the Amritsar, which is part of Punjab? So if you are aware about all the facts of Jallianwala Bagh, do not forget to mention that in the comment box of this video, and prepare a brief about Jallianwala Bagh in the comment box, like when did it happen, what was the name of the general who ordered fire, and what was the reason behind the protest of Jallianwala Bagh. Now let's come back to the topic again. Gujarat government release on the scenery of the massacre described the incident as more brutal than the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 1919. Earlier also, the Bihar Chief Minister announced that on 15th February would be commemorated as Shaheed Divas in memory of 34 freedom fighters who were killed by police in Tarapur town, now which is a subdivision of Munger district 90 years ago. So this is also the plight of Bihar government, which has happened to call the killing of 34 freedom fighters by the British government in Tarapur town of Munger district of Bihar. Now the Pal Dadav massacre, which is a very special one, took place on 7th March 1922, as I've already told you, in the Pal Chaitya and Dadav villages of Sabarkantha district, the then part of either state. So it was either state in 1922, now it is called Gujarat. The day was Amalki Ekadasi. So Amalki Ekadasi is a very pious, day for the, or maybe what I should say, a very sacred day for Hindus. So which falls just before Holi, a major festival for tribals too. So tribals, some people claim that they are also Hindu, and some do not claim, do claim that they are not. But tribals also, celebrate Amalki Ekadasi. So villagers from Pal, Dadav and Chitaria had gathered on the banks of river Hair as part of the Eki movement, which was, as I've already told you, was led by Motilal Tejawat. So Tejawat, who belonged to Koliyari village, he belonged to Koliyari village in Mewad region of Rajasthan. So he was a Rajasthani actually, and had also mobilized Bheels from Kotoda, Chhavani, and Sirohi and Danta to participate in the Eki movement. Now you can pause the video and read the other words. This movement was to protest against the land revenue tax, which is Lagan, imposed on the peasants by the British and the feudal lords. What was the feudal lords? They were the Jamidars. So it was the British paramilitary forces who were, on hunt for Motilal Tejawat ji, and it was heard that the gathering, and they reached about the spot, on the spot. Nearly there were under 200 bheels. Bheels are, very skilled in the bow and archery. So you would have heard about Eklavya. He was also a bheel. I'm sorry, I was drawing it the wrong way. So they are very skilled in the skills of archery. So 200 bheels under the leadership of Tehawat, lifted their bows and arrow against the, British paramilitary. Though they were not intending it to kill them, they were just, doing it for self-defense purposes. But the British government opened fire on them, and nearly 1,000 tribals, that is bheels, fell to bullets. While the British claimed that only 22 people were killed, the Bheels believed that more than 1,200 to 1,500 of them died. Tejawat, however, escaped and later returned to the spot to Christian it. And he named that land Veer Bhumi. Now let's talk a little bit about Tejawat himself. So he was born into a merchant, that is Bania family, and which was dominated, the Koliari village, which was dominated by the Adivasi people, especially the Bheels. So Tejawat was employed by a landlord where he worked for 8 years, and there he saw the, exploited situation of tribals, and went on to, give up his job of being an employee of a landlord, and then he, started working against the whole British government for the, the main reason being exploitation of the tribals. So to this day, local tribals recount the Pal Dadav massacre in songs sung at weddings and fairs. One such song is Hansu Dukhi, Duniya Dukhi. So this Hansu Dukhi, Duniya Dukhi is one of the songs which are being sung in their, that local tribal weddings. So now let's move on to the next topic. Here comes your very first question of the next topic. What is the full name of CSE? So what is the full name of CSE? Your option A is Center for Science and Environment. Option B is Central Study on Environment. Option C is Central Studies on Ecology. Option D is Center for Science and Earth. So the correct answer is, of course, option A, which is the Center for Science and Environment. Your next question is, the State of India's Environment Report 2022 has been published in which magazine? Your option A is Down to Earth. Your option B is the Center for Science and Environment and Down to Earth. Your option C is the Center for Science, and your option D is Environment Protection and Rights. The correct answer is, of course, option B, which is the Center for Science and Environment and Down to Earth. What is the next question? In terms of $1 trillion, so in terms of $1 trillion, what is the status of Indian economy? Is it $3.9 trillion? Option B is $3.1 trillion. Option C is $2.9 trillion, and your option D is $2.71 trillion. The correct answer is option B, which is $3.1 trillion. In 2022, the beginning of this year, India crossed $3.1 trillion in its economic scale. Now let's move on to the next question. What was the India's rank on the SDG? What is SDG? It is Sustainable Development Goals. So Sustainable Development Goals, there are certain SDGs which are, part of Agenda 2030 of the United Nations. So what was the rank of India in the SDG, index of Agenda 2030, I'm sorry. Your option A is 56th, option B is 43rd, option C is 120th, and option D is 117th. The correct answer is option D, which is 117th. When was the first State of India's Environment Report released? So this is the last question of this topic. When, for the first time, the State of India's Environment Report was released? Option A is 1998, option B is 1992, option C is 1982, and option D is 1965. The correct answer is option C, which is 1982, and the it was the first report which was released in 1982, and again in 1985. So again in 1985, second report of State of India's Environment Report was released. Now let's talk about this topic, State of India's Environment Report 2020. Recently, the Center for Science and Environment, which is CSE, released the State of Environment Report 2022. The report is annual publication of the Center for Studies and Environment and Down to Earth magazine, which I already discussed in the questions. So the report focuses on climate change. So these are the major focus of this report: climate change, migration, health and food systems, biodiversity, forest wildlife sanctuary, habitat pollution, etc. CSE, let's talk a little bit about CSE, is a public interest research and advocacy organization which is based in New Delhi. Now, where does India stand on achieving its national targets, which India did set, during the SDG meetings and etc. So let's talk about economy. The target for the economy is to raise the gross domestic product. What is gross domestic product? It is the GDP of your country to nearly USD 4 trillion by 2023 to 2022 to 2023. But by 2022, by 2020, the economy has grown only to USD 2.48 trillion. At present, it is 3.1 trillion, which is by this year. It is only 3.1 trillion, which I also discussed in the questions. So the economy has largely shrunk during the COVID-19 pandemic. You are aware about the, the lockdowns and all the stuff which was instituted by the COVID-19 pandemic. So making it even worse and difficult to meet the deadline. Let's talk about a little bit about employment. The target is to increase the female labor force participation to at least 30% by the end of this year. And it stood at 17.3% in January-March 2020. A little bit about housing also. The target are to construct 29.5 million. That is, what it would be? It would be something around 2.2 crore 95 lakh housing units under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is PMAY. You should also be aware about this, PMAY Yojana. Now let's talk about drinking water. The target is to provide safe piped drinking water to all by the end of this year. Only 45 of the target has been achieved by this time. Agriculture, there are to double the income of the farmers, and there are other ideas regarding the same. Let's talk about digitization of land records. So it has been recorded that by the end of 2022, all the lands will be digitized. Regarding sustainable developmental rankings, so India has been ranked 117, that is 117 among 192 nations in terms of sustainable development, and was now behind all South Asian nations except Pakistan. States which perform, the state-based performance in sustainable developmental goals. So best performing states are Kerala, which has been ranked at first, Himachal Pradesh along with Tamil Nadu has been second, and Andhra Pradesh and others are third. Roast performers are Bihar and Jharkhand has been, the very roast. From the bottom, they have topped from the bottom. Bihar and Jharkhand has been regarded the roast performers. Arunachal Pradesh, Meghalaya and Uttar Pradesh are following them. Now I would like to thank you for watching this video. Please do not forget to, if you are someone who lives nearby Kota, to visit the Kota Center of Unacademy. Also, do not forget, if you want to buy any Unacademy course, so you have to use my code, that is THRINATS. If you use my code, that is Trinath10, you will get a 10% discount. Rest information is also provided inside the description box of this video. Thank you.